all, Grolo here. As I record this, there is a storm raging outside, so you may hear the occasional lightning bolt going off. You've been warned. But I wanted to record this now because I wanted to talk about monetization. It's a super hot topic right now, especially in Star Citizen, on Spectrum, Reddit, our community's Discord server. You know, which, despite having wildly different opinions, we've kept it pretty civil there. So if that sounds appealing to you, come on over. The link's below. But what happened to stir this up? This topic applies to basically every game out there now, on the MMO scene at least. But in this case, it was the release of ship tuning blades in Star Citizen as part of 4.1.1. They're for sale, accepting only real money for now. They're treating these like ships, you know, where there's always kind of a pledge-only period of time where you can acquire the thing, and then they eventually become available for in-game purchase sometime later. But of course, tuning blades are not ships. And so people are understandably taken aback, thinking, in some cases, this is the beginning of the end. Now, for those of you with pretty level heads, don't be too alarmed. Every step CIG takes could be the beginning of the end, especially according to some people around here. But the fact is, this is a slight change in behavior, and the community is right to question it. CIG, if you recall, tried this once before. Do you remember whenever they did this with the first ATLS, the tractor beam version? The community pushed back pretty hard at the time, and CIG relented. They dropped it into the game almost immediately for in-game purchase. It only took a few days, I believe. At the time, the community said, look, this is not a ship, it's a tool. And they relented. So I'm actually a little surprised that they're doing it again after that. Obviously, tuning blades are not ships, they're tools. But here we are. And as a result, a lot of people were talking about it. Some folks have reached out to me, asking me for my thoughts, so here they are, and they're quite simple. Monetization is a problem if any group of players can force any other group of players to spend money to remain competitive in gainful conflict, simply by spending money themselves. That is when monetization becomes a problem, and that is when I, personally, will leave a game. Now, monetization can be annoying long before this problematic state arrives. No doubt about it. I'm not going to claim otherwise, because ultimately it's up to you when that line is crossed. If it's annoying to you, then it's annoying to you, and there's nothing I can do or say to refute that. That's your call. For example, it annoys me that games sell skins. I freaking hate this. I miss the days when I could look at someone and instantly get a sense for their accomplishments, their achievements. You know, like in the old days, whenever someone would stand on the mailbox in org flaunting their latest tier gear, or imagine seeing someone in Star Citizen or Ashes of Creation and just knowing that that armor came from a very hostile remote moon, or that medallion around their neck came from a treasure chest of that belonged to like a great sea serpent, right? Now it's just, oh, that suit looks really cool. I bet they bought that on the store. But I digress. Those days are gone. Annoying as that fact is to me, there's nothing I can do except either not play the games or convince all of you that it's equally annoying, to the point that we can really push back on these companies to affect change. But that's not happening. Too many of you love buying these damn skins, so fuck me on that one. But back to problematic monetization. What exactly do I mean by gainful conflict and forcing one another to spend money? So first, we need something worth fighting over, right? Something that affects the game. Something that influences the way the game is played. I'm not talking about a duel tournament or bragging rights. I'm talking about fighting over resources or territory or a spawn camp or a dungeon entrance or a mining outpost. Something that by claiming it or denying other players access to it you secure your group an in-game advantage. Think Ashes of Creation or New World, where the best crafting drops came off bosses that groups of players could surround and deny other players those drops. That would give those players a serious competitive advantage. They would be able to craft the best gear and then kick your ass in Outpost Rush or beat up your caravan and Ashes of Creation. Or think about EVO Online, where you can lock down entire sectors and deny others access to those resources while you collect them for yourself. Even classic World of Warcraft had world bosses which guilds could deny access to, thereby equipping their raiders with better gear, or PvPers. Now this is a common and necessary type of conflict, especially in sandbox games, to keep those games healthy and interesting and alive. And players will and should use all kinds of tactics in securing victory in these situations. Anything from creative battle tactics to sheer numbers, like outnumbering your opponent, to full-blown game exploits. And while exploiting is not a tactic that you want to see your players using to achieve victory, and you should punish them severely, there is one tactic that is worse than that, and that's the swipe of a credit card. If it is possible to gain the upper hand by swiping, the game is 100% uncontestably pay to win. And as such, it's dead to me. Now, I'm not calling any game here that I'm talking about pay to win. Just hold on, we'll get to that. Let's talk about a few hypotheticals first. Let's say in EVO Online, you have a big alliance on alliance war, right? Two alliances are going to battle. Now, say there's a battle within that war that's like 100 ships versus 100 ships. And one side obliterates the other side. They have 50 ships remaining. After this battle, the other side is just wiped out. Now, if the losing side can swipe a card to be back in the action quickly, that's a problem. Even if the winning side in that scenario is well prepared and has a bunch more ships in reserve that they can pull out to defend against that swipe, the swiping side can just continue to swipe again and again and again, and eventually force that well-prepared side to do the same or lose the war. Same thing in Ashes of Creation. That game features naval combat, right? If you have two navies engaging on the open ocean and one side can rearm its navy more quickly by swiping, that would be a problem. If instead I can buy custom designs for my ship sails or more intricate wood for the plank that I make people walk, that's not a problem. That's just freaking annoying. What about PAX Day? Crafting is the only way of getting gear in that game. There's no drops, which I love about the game. All the gear has durability. It'll eventually need to be replaced or it breaks. Now imagine if you're fighting over some mountain pass for hours against an enemy and your forces are running out of supplies. Your swords are breaking, your helmets are cracked. Now what if you could just swipe to get a crate of gear delivered? That would be a problem. And to be clear, there's no sign that these companies will implement something that dumb, but I'm setting the stage here for the next game I want to talk about, which is Star Citizen. Now, let's first pretend that we are in a post 1.0 world. And like our previous EVO Online example, we are in a massive fleet battle. We're trying to secure an area of an asteroid or a moon that's rich in some rare resource, and we want to lock it down so that we have exclusive rights to it. We're taking heavy losses, but we really want to win. If I can just go to the Star Citizen store and buy 50 more ships and have them delivered to the nearest station where my people are respawning and have them fly those ships back into battle, the game has failed and will be dead to me. This cannot be how it works after 1.0. Now we're going to backtrack to the game's current state. Just give me a moment. But first, I've heard a lot of retorts to this statement I just made. Ranging from, you need to factor player skill into it. Or what if I don't care about big org battles? I'm a solo player. I don't care what orgs do. And some other things, but those are the big ones. Now, these are good questions, but here's where I stand on it. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter. First, on the skill. Skill doesn't matter. If I can swipe for an advantage, then I can swipe enough to overcome any level of skill you have. And second of all, the larger the conflict and the more people that are involved in that conflict, the closer the average skill level on the two sides will become. That's just facts. Next, on the I don't care about big org gameplay, or most people won't be in battles of this size. Look, again, it does not matter. Look to nature to understand why. Why it doesn't matter what play style or player group that you associate with. Consider how complicated nature's ecosystems are. As humans today, we still cannot fully comprehend just how complicated they are. You have a bajillion species in an ecosystem, all playing different roles and doing this complicated dance around one another. And removing any one of them has this ripple effect across the entire ecosystem, right? I see MMOs kind of like that. You may not care about how paid features scale into large conflicts. You plan on just puttering around, looking for salvage, or poking around in chests at outposts. Maybe you plan on building yourself a cabin on the Lake of Microtech and retiring there. So you may be tempted to ask, like, why do I care about how transactions function in large org battles? But that's kind of like a bird asking why they should care about the city planner who's intending to chop down a bunch of trees and sculpt the land upon which that city is being built. Or asking why they should care about the giraffes over there. It's all connected, right? We're literally all in the same sandbox. You want large orgs to have a healthy, thriving experience in this game, even if you have no interest in them. You want tiny orgs to be healthy and thriving, even if you don't care about them either. You want every size in between to be healthy and thriving, and all of those orgs should want the experience of solo players to be wonderful too. When everyone has a good experience, and pay close attention here because I am not saying that everyone needs to have the same experience. That's a topic for a whole different video. But we do all need to have a great experience, and that's how the game will stay healthy, fun, and remain like a living and breathing world for a long time to come. The moment that one group says, fuck it, I don't care about this feature, it doesn't affect me, and then another group starts to share that mentality, and then the studio buys in, I mean, shit, it's all lost at that point. The ecosystem dies. There's no reason for any of us to be here, right? So let's zoom out a little bit. Hopefully we can all agree by now that selling ready-to-fly ships after 1.0 lands will just mean a very short shelf life for Star Citizen. And any game that follows in its footsteps. I mean, we've seen it again and again. I don't even know why we're asking how it could play out. Well then, what can CIG do? How could they keep funding the game? And what about the current state of the game? Is this sale of ship tuning blades the end of the world? Let's go back to my definition of the problem. First, we need something to fight over that will influence and impact the game. We don't have that yet. There is no sandbox yet. The resources are meaningless. You can sell it for in-game credits, which is eventually just going to get deleted as well. We're all just in here building our skills for now. That's the only thing that transfers from the current state of the game to the future and 1.0 is the skills that you build right now. So there can literally be no pay to win or problematic monetization at the moment because there's no meaningful conflict. There can be really, really freaking annoying monetization, and if you feel that's the case, you're entitled to that opinion. But it's not problematic yet. It's an early access game with a killer funding model, right? I mean, their marketing department is on it. But that's all it is. That hasn't changed. There may be some line that you think was recently crossed, but it doesn't matter, really. It's not a problem, it's just annoying. To you, maybe, or maybe to me. But if ship sales persist past 1.0, when the wipes stop and the sandbox is present, and resources and territory matter, and I can dominate that sandbox by just swiping a card with CIG and refilling my fleet, then we have a problem. So what can I do about it? Well, I can't predict what they're going to do, but I've got some ideas. There's so many ways that they could monetize this game that would not interfere with gameplay or conflict at all. And I've talked about these options pretty extensively in a video a while back. I'll link it below in case you're interested. I spent quite a bit of time on this topic. So that's my hope. I'm hoping that's the direction they take. But if ship sales must continue, then they're going to have to do something like move to blueprints. You know, something like that. Something that does not shortcut the economic and the industrial pipelines, because it's the act of shortcutting those and skipping them that would make paying for anything like this a big problem. And before you tell me that the ships you buy, they're going to be lower tier or lower quality than what you can craft in the game, that's like the skill argument. It does not matter. Remember, you can swipe enough to erode any advantage of crafting it. It doesn't matter. And the same goes for armor and guns. It'll all need reined in. And so that's it. You know, I wanted to get these thoughts out there because it's such a hot topic right now. There's passionate discussion going on. And I hope that what I feel is a pretty simple take on this can be helpful in some way. You know, I'll give a quick recap, you know, before you hopefully head into the comments just to get some discussion going. So this recap will hopefully remind you on what you're going to be debating me on. Please do. As far as Star Citizen goes, there's nothing to compete for yet, and so there's no paying to win. Funding the game is not a form of pay to win. If anything, we all win whenever you buy shit. And so, no, the sky is not falling, but CIG's monetization tactics must change when 1.0 lands, or else there is going to be serious problems. Very serious problems that could prevent it from ever really taking off. So let's hope CIG is smart about it, that it does not succumb to the quick money at that point, because really, like I said in another video I mentioned, a well-maintained, healthy Star Citizen that does not exploit wallets after 1.0, it stands to generate far more money in the long run than CIG looking to make a quick buck with ship sales at that point. I personally am pretty confident that CIG understands that. It's another reason I'm here, watching this project so closely and talking about it on this channel. Right? So, I'm unconcerned as of yet. Even after the recent hoopla that's got everybody up in arms, I'm not concerned. What about you, though? Let me know your take below. I'd love to hear if you agree or disagree or fall somewhere in the middle. Do your best to keep it somewhat civil, okay? People get pretty passionate and spicy about this topic, myself included. So simmer down whenever you need to, but I'd love to hear about it. Alrighty then, that's all I got. So till next time, take care, and Grolo out.